There we go.
A second ago. There we go. There's Saad Yusuf. Saad, thank you for being on with us. We appreciate you joining us once again. What did you make of who won again in the conference championship games today? What did you think of the AFC and NFC title games this afternoon?
Well, I thought they were two, pretty decent games. The first thought that I had, and it's more of an aesthetic one than a football thought, but it's going to be really sad in a few years when we dome all these stadiums and we miss out on what it looked like today when the Patriots played the Broncos, especially in the second half. I know that it limits what happens on the field and all that kind of stuff in terms of the passing game, the offense, but it just felt good. So that's one thought, and that's probably as high of a compliment I can give to that first game. But the second game, that was phenomenal. And I know you guys will have a lot of thoughts there, on those as well. But one thing I will say that was going through my head as I watched both of those games, Christian Gonzalez sealed the first game. That's from the Colony. Yep. And Jackson Smith and Jigba, Rockwall's own, was phenomenal in the second game. So DFW, not very well represented ever in the pro football ranks, but Texas high school football is representing there.
Peek behind the curtain. That's exactly what I did for tomorrow morning's Extra Point. And there were so many DFW products in those two games that were making big plays. You mentioned Christian Gonzalez, obviously Jackson Smith and Jigba, Marvin Mims, the wide receiver for the Broncos. Who's the other one we were talking about? Cortland Sutton, who went to Brenham High School. Texas high school football products all over the place. I went through the litany of them and got back upstairs and thought, son of a gun, I didn't even mention Matthew Stafford, who's going to win MVP this year, and had to come redo the taping because I'd forgotten about the fact that, oh yeah, he is too. All over the place, Texas high school kids, because it's just, that's what this area does. We just pump out NFL products.
The other thing, though, to me is the trash talk heading into this. And I've been kind of thinking of all the Cowboys angles that could be heading into this weekend. Obviously, Jerry Jones kind of putting Robert Kraft on notice, and all of a sudden, potentially, banner number 7 going to move the goalpost just a little bit. But the other side of it for Seattle, DeMarcus Lawrence, who leaves contentiously in the offseason, has a back and forth with then Cowboy Micah Parsons on Twitter. And the next thing you know, all of a sudden he's going, I'm going to Seattle to win. And here he is about to play in the Super Bowl, going to a place the Cowboys haven't been in, 30 years, Saad.
Yeah, for sure. And DeMarcus Lawrence got the last laugh there, and he and he was on point. Look, there's something about players that do leave here, and we saw it with DeMarcus Ware when he left here and went to Denver and won a Super Bowl there. So there is something to what DeMarcus Lawrence said. I think at that point when Micah was a Cowboy, it came off as sour grapes because, Mike, as you know, you're in the locker room as well. There was a little bit of a divide there between Team Micah and Team DeMarcus, just two generations. DeMarcus Lawrence was the leader. Micah was the incoming leader. There was a divide there, and it kind of took over on social media. But DeMarcus Lawrence was right. I mean, the proof is in the pudding.
Yeah, as Micah called it on Twitter in the aftermath of his comments to a Seahawks reporter, he called it some clown S. And then DeMarcus came back and said, it's not clown, it's the truth.
It's the truth now.
A season worth of evidence on the field. Tank Lawrence comes out as the winner in that one.
Looking at these two games, it was obviously stark in terms of the scoring and the offensive output for both. But I am still struck by the point that we made last week on the Ultimate Dallas Sports Show, which is all of these teams, the Rams included, the Rams obviously are the heaviest that lean on the quarterback position. But all of these teams are built around a full, complete roster. These are not guys that's like, hey, Dak Prescott, go out there and be superhuman 16 weeks in a row, and let's hope we get in the playoffs and keep that momentum going. These are great defenses across the board. They play sound positional football. And, I mean, you want to talk about situational stuff. The Patriots have shown it this entire postseason. But knowing, especially from Vrabel's perspective, because I want to highlight the coaching deficiency on that side of the ball. First of all, Sean Payton deciding to not kick a field goal, which and go up 2 possessions felt baffling. But more importantly, Vrabel accepting the challenge that the game is giving him, which is, hey, no one's scoring in this mess. We're just going to try and run out of the clock on this side. I thought the coaching and the rosters were the biggest storyline coming out of this weekend.
Yeah, the Sean Payton move was baffling for a couple reasons. Not just because you want to go up 2 possessions in a defensive battle, but we've had this conversation with Brian Schottenheimer, Mike McCarthy, and Jason Garrett over the years about the sun at AT&T Stadium. And the coaches will plan around when the sun is going to be the worst, what direction you want to be going in. The reason why I bring that up if you're Sean Payton, you had to have seen the forecast and what the game was going to be like in the second half with the snow coming down and all that stuff. You had to know that you needed to get your points in the first half because it was going to be a struggle in the second half. And sure enough, the Broncos got the ball at like the 33-yard line in field goal range, but it's a blizzard and you're not able to just kick a field goal and tie the game there. So it was disappointing from that sense, especially because Sean Payton is a respected and veteran coach. But I agree with you, Andrew. It's not just about the analytics and about should you or should you not have. It's about the game situation and knowing what's coming.
I do feel bad for the Broncos kicker, though, because he
Yes.
kicked a heck of a kick, and if it weren't for the fact that the Patriots were able to get a fingertip on it, that thing might have been through. He may have crawled right into Adam Vinatieri category
Right.
if that thing had gone through the way that would have been such a legendary kick in what turned into a complete snow globe in the second half. And Saddam, with your first point, how cool was that to watch? To just sit on your couch and see the snow pouring on those guys and knowing that Mike Vrabel's tactic of you're not scoring, nobody's moving the football in this was absolutely the right choice because you couldn't do anything in that. There was nothing that anybody could do in that weather. You couldn't move the football at all through the air or on the ground.
And the other thing I want to jump in here real quick is I think back to last year, which I think snow games get a bad rap in the sense that, it'll be 10-7, no one can move the ball X, Y, and Z. There are a lot of high-scoring snow games because of mistakes on defense. You'll get big plays, crazy moments. That's just part of it. And you want to talk about iconicism. Saquon Barkley last year pounding his helmet and as he's going in on a long touchdown run. That's the stuff that lives forever, and having those moments is just, you can't take that stuff away. You've got to have these at least the opportunity for this. I get the Super Bowl, but the NFC Championship game or the AFC, these games have to have that, at least the opportunity for that inclement weather.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it also creates a real home field advantage. That's the other thing is, the crowd and all that is one thing. But I grew up on Brady versus Manning, and Manning had to go to Foxborough, and he was a dome quarterback that had to play in the elements in January. And you would see the Colts beat the Patriots in November and October, but then struggle to move the ball in January. And there is an element to that I really enjoy, that, the northern teams or whatever, you should have that home field advantage. The Chicago Bears, for example, or whoever else comes into that category.
I also think that Jarrett Stidham was one play late
Yes.
on his shot. They had the shot to Mims the play before, and I think he knew he missed the shot, so then doubled down, unfortunately, for Stidham on the mistake by, well, I had it, so let's try it again. And Christian Gonzalez saw it coming, the Patriots saw it coming, and that was it. Because they were, if he had tried that on that first, if he had let it go, because he saw it, and he hemmed and hawed and checked it down. If he had unleashed that one, we may have seen exactly what you're talking about, Andrew, and the defensive mistake, because it looked like Mims may have had the step, and that may have been the big play that won the football game.
But that's ultimately what all of this comes down to. I mean, the Seahawks, the Rams game came down to a fourth down call on the other end of the field, and the play wasn't executed. So on some level, all of these games are nip-tuck, down-to-the-wire things, and it just matters on who makes the play. Unfortunately, at least for the Broncos, they had Stidham instead of Bo Nix, and that's kind of the reality.
And I'll tell you, on the second game, there is nobody on this planet that is happier that the Seahawks won than Tariq Woolen, because he was so close to being the guy. Because, I mean, you talk about a guy that on that drive dropped the interception, gets the taunting penalty. You can't tell me a worse 2-3 play sequence maybe for any player in NFL history. I mean, that was just as bad as it gets. And good for him that the Seahawks won, or else I'm sure it would have been a very long 9 months before the next game.
That's an
At
understatement.
minimum, we saw like the worst 3 minutes of Reek Woolen's career right there. At minimum, his worst, but at least he didn't end up being the GOAT. At least he does have the opportunity to, maybe he makes an interception in 2 weeks and it's this great redemption arc for him. We'll see.